So now we will be discussing about COVID-19 disease. What are all the variants of COVID-19 virus and the vaccines which are available for COVID-19. So the World Health Organization declares COVID-19 as a pandemic in the early of 2020. So 2020, early January, they are declaring it as a PHEIC, that is Public Health Emergency of international concern. Then they label it as a pandemic. Okay. So this is the screen which shows the number of active cases of COVID in our country. If you carefully see the slide, this slide was taken as on 4th August 2021. So this slide was taken on 4th August 2021. Remember, as on 4th August 2021, the number of active cases in our country were 4,10,353 cases, and you have 4,25,000 deaths. 4,25,000 deaths. Okay, the total vaccination, the total number of doses of vaccines which have been given in our country is close to somewhere 48 crores. Okay, so 48 crores vaccines dosage has already been given. So this I need to just update you. So this is the global data. This is the global data as on 4th August released by WHO. So this is the WHO data which is showing the global burden of the disease, and this is taken from the WHO dashboard of COVID-19, which basically shows you that there are 5,48,000 new cases and 42 lakh deaths so far, which has been happening in the world. So you all know the COVID-19 outbreak first happened in China. Which city in China? It was Wuhan city in China. The outbreak was linked to a wet animal market. So a wet animal market. Chinese people in Wuhan, especially, they have a habit of eating raw animal meat, cooked, partially uncooked. That is their culture. So first outbreak of SARS-CoV-2, that is the novel coronavirus. So COVID-19 disease is caused by novel coronavirus 2019. The strain is SARS-CoV-2. Okay. So this is the diagram which is showing the animal market from Wuhan, and this was the market from where the cases were first linked to epidemiologically. So initially they thought how the disease is transmitted from animals to man and what are all the animals which are implicated in the transmission of COVID-19. So the animals which are implicated in the transmission of COVID-19 is wild Asian bat. So this is the wild Asian bat which you can see here. Then you have the Asian palm civet. Okay, so there are many types of palm civet, but this is a Asian palm civet. Okay, this is an Asian palm civet, and also dromedary camel. Okay, dromedary camels were also linked to MERS. What is MERS? MERS stands for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So that is MERS. MERS was also caused by SARS coronavirus. Okay, so MERS, SARS. So what are the diseases which are caused by coronavirus? So it causes SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. It causes MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. It causes COVID-19 disease. So these are all the important diseases which has been a pandemic caused by coronavirus. Okay, this is how the transmission occurs from animals to man. We have already seen the COVID-19 virus was as a natural reservoir. It is present in Asian wild bat, dromedary camels, and palm civet. Okay, so there is always some kind of a cross transmission between these three species, and man gets the infection accidentally. So man is an accidental host. Man is an accidental host, and man-to-man transmission occurs via respiratory route. It can be through respiratory droplet, or it can be through a droplet nuclei. So remember, there is a difference between respiratory droplet and droplet nuclei. Respiratory droplets are droplets which are more than 5 microns in size. When these respiratory droplets, when you spit the respiratory droplet, it lands into the ground. So when sun falls onto the respiratory droplets, it gets dried and loses its shape. So once it is dried, it becomes a droplet nuclei because it loses its shape and becomes less than 5 microns. Because it is air dried, it can be easily transmitted through air and it becomes an aerosol. So even respiratory droplet nuclei can also be a factor in transmission of COVID-19 from person to person. So you remember wild Asian bat, palm civet and dromedary camels, the infection is happening between them. Man is an accidental host, acquires the infection from any one of these animals, and then man-to-man transmission happens through respiratory route. So this is how the epidemiology of COVID-19 looks like. Okay, so as I already told, how the transmission occurs: direct, indirect or close contact with the infected people. Respiratory droplets 5 to 10 microns in diameter. Droplet nuclei or aerosols, I have already explained you what is a droplet nuclei, which is less than 5 microns in diameter. Fomite transmission is also seen in COVID-19 disease transmission. So what is the period of communicability in SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 disease? The period of communicability, that means that what is the communicability period? That is 1 to 3 days before the onset of symptoms. That is a period where high viral load is observed, so that it is easily communicable. From one person to another. Okay, so 1 to 3 days before the onset of symptoms, the highest viral load is observed around the day of symptom, followed by a gradual decline over time. What is the incubation period? We have already discussed in epidemiology lectures. Incubation period is nothing but time interval between the onset of entry of the organism into your body to the first appearance of sign and symptoms. So that is the incubation period. So the incubation period for COVID-19 is 2 to 14 days. So incubation period for COVID-19 is 2 to 14 days. So 14 days is the incubation period. That is why they are making you to quarantine or isolate for 14 days, because incubation period is 14 days. Now this is an electron microscopic view of SARS-CoV-2. You can see why it is called coronavirus, because it has got these club-shaped spike proteins around its core. That is why it got the name corona. Okay, it is made up of spike protein. Then you have the nucleocapsid, which is this is the nucleocapsid. This is the membrane protein, and over the membrane protein you have the envelope. Okay, now coronavirus is it a RNA virus or a DNA virus? It is a single-stranded RNA virus. So single-stranded RNA virus. Now how will you diagnose COVID-19 disease? What are all the samples which are taken for diagnosing COVID-19 disease? So whenever you have signs and symptoms of COVID-19 disease like fever or sore throat or body pain, myalgia, cough, shortness of breath, whatever symptoms, and if the doctor suspects you are having COVID-19 infection, they refer you to get tested for COVID-19. So what are all the samples you give for testing COVID-19? The first and the foremost sample is nasal swab. Okay, you can see here, this is a nasal swab. Okay, second is nasopharyngeal swab. Nasal swab, they just take the swab from the nasal cavity, but in nasopharyngeal swab, they go little bit deeper, they go into the nasopharynx and they take the sample. That is why it is called nasopharyngeal swab. You also have a oropharyngeal swab from the oral cavity. Sputum can also be used for lab diagnosis, and last is saliva. But the commonly used are nasopharyngeal swab and nasal swab and oropharyngeal swab. These are the commonly used samples. Any other way we can diagnose COVID-19? Yes, there is something called a CT chest which is taken for diagnosing COVID-19 disease, and they give a score called CORAD score. Okay, COVID-19 radiology score, that is CORAD score, which will tell you the level of suspicion for COVID-19 infection. Now this is the CT pictures which I have kept in the right hand side of the slide, where you can see a lot of opacities in the lung. So these are all the ground glass opacities. So these are all the opacities which you can see. Okay, so if you see this kind of lesions in the CT scan, always suspect COVID-19 disease. Okay, which is a gold standard test for diagnosing COVID-19? RT-PCR. RT-PCR is the gold standard test for diagnosing. Okay, RT-PCR is the gold standard test for diagnosing COVID-19 infection. RT-PCR, RT stands for reverse transcriptase. It is a reverse transcriptase PCR. What are all the laboratory other tests which will give insight into the patient having COVID-19 disease? Complete blood count. If you do a complete blood count, the patient will have neutropenia and lymphopenia. The patient will have neutropenia and lymphopenia. There is increased LDH and C-reactive protein. The acute inflammatory markers are increased. There is increased interleukin, especially interleukin 6. There is also increased in levels of D-dimer. What is D-dimer? D-dimer is a fibrin degradation end product. D-dimer is a fibrin degradation end product. Very important point to remember. Okay, so how will you tell this patient is having COVID infection? Okay, so there are three definitions which you need to know. Okay, when will you call a patient is having a suspect of COVID-19? When you will say the patient is probably having COVID-19, and when will you say it is a confirmed case of COVID-19 infection? So now, suspect case. Who is a suspect of COVID-19? If a patient presents with acute respiratory illness, so he should have fever. That is the most important thing, and at least one of the respiratory symptoms like cough or shortness of breath. Plus, there is a history of travel to an endemic area or an area where there is high transmission of COVID during the 14 days before the onset of symptoms. So I told you incubation period is 14 days. Okay, so before these 14 days, if the patient has gone to any endemic or epidemic high transmission COVID transmission area, plus he is having fever or any of the respiratory symptom like cough, cold, shortness of breath or running nose, always suspect COVID. This is one definition. Or he is having any acute respiratory illness after having coming in contact with a confirmed COVID case. Let us say in his house there is a positive case and he has come in contact with that case 14 days before the onset of symptom, and now he has come to you with fever or any of the respiratory complaints, suspect COVID-19 disease. Okay, or if a patient presents with severe acute respiratory illness like fever or one sign and symptom of respiratory disease like cough, cold, shortness of breath, requiring hospitalization, in the absence of alternate diagnosis during the epidemic outbreak, always think of COVID-19 infection. So that is a suspect case. When will you call the case as a probable case? In a probable case is a suspect case for whom testing for COVID-19 virus is inconclusive. You still suspect COVID-19, but his test report has come inconclusive. You call it as a probable case of COVID-19. Okay. Who is a confirmed case? A person with laboratory confirmation of COVID-19 infection irrespective of sign and symptom. So remember, he can be asymptomatic. If a person is asymptomatic but still his COVID-19 RT-PCR is positive, he will still be called as a confirmed case. So confirmed cases, positive laboratory confirmation even in the presence or absence of signs and symptoms. So that is what you should understand in the diagnosis of COVID-19 infection. So what are all the clinical features of COVID-19? The patient will have fever, the patient will have cough with expectoration, he will have fatigue, shortness of breath, myalgia, okay, he will have rhinorrhea and sore throat. Some patients also complain of diarrhea, okay. Some patients even complain of diarrhea. There is loss of smell and loss of taste. Loss of smell is called anosmia. Loss of taste is called ageusia. Okay, loss of taste is called ageusia. So these are all the basic clinical features of COVID-19 infection. Now, how will you grade the severity of COVID-19? When will you call the patient is having mild COVID-19 infection, moderate COVID-19 and severe COVID-19? So, if the patient presents with uncomplicated upper respiratory infection, like he is having only mild fever, cough, sore throat, mild symptoms, you call it as mild infection, okay. If the patient has a saturation of less than 94, remember saturation less than 94, with all the clinical signs and symptoms, he will be called as moderate infection. So if the saturation is less than 94 but more than 90, you will call it as moderate infection. So if the saturation is 90 to 94 with all the signs and symptoms, that is moderate SARS-CoV-2 infection. If the saturation is less than 90 at room air with all signs and symptoms, that is severe COVID-19 infection. So for both moderate and severe, the patient might require hospitalization, and in severe cases, he might even require ICU based treatment. Okay. Now, how will you prevent COVID-19? Prevention of COVID-19, the most important point, apart from your COVID appropriate behavior, the most important tool we have now is vaccines. So what are all the vaccines we have in India to prevent COVID-19? The first and the foremost vaccine we have is Covishield. Covishield is manufactured by Serum Institute of India, Pune. It is available in the name as Covishield. The collaborators AstraZeneca and Oxford. Then we have our indigenous vaccine, which is Covaxin. Covaxin is manufactured by Bharat Biotech International in collaboration with NIV, that is National Institute of Virology, Pune, along with ICMR. Okay. Then we have Sputnik, which has already been there from the Gamaleya National Center of Russia, collaborated with Dr. Reddy's laboratory in India. Then we have the first DNA vaccine in the whole world, that is ZyCoV-D by Cadila Healthcare. And we have other vaccine platforms like Biological E and all, they are still under trials. So you have to remember Covishield, Covaxin, most important. These are all the approved for use, and also Sputnik. As on August 8th, today is August 8th, the day where the lecture is being recorded. As on August 8, 2021, the COVID-19 vaccine fact sheet tells the authorized age group for receiving the vaccine is 18 years and above. The trials in children are going on. Probably it will be completed very soon. Okay. Whether other vaccines can be given along with COVID-19 vaccine? Yes, it can be given. If required, COVID-19 vaccine and other vaccines, it should be separated by an interval of at least 14 days. So in an interval of 14 days, you can give the other vaccines except rabies vaccine, which can be given together. Okay. Whether you can interchange the vaccines, first dose Covishield and second dose Covaxin? No. Interchangeability is still yet not permitted, but trials of mixing the vaccine is going on in the world. After the result only we will be able to know whether you can mix the vaccines or not. Okay. What are all the contraindications for this vaccine? Only one absolute contraindication. If the patient has had anaphylaxis. Okay, if the patient has had anaphylaxis or a severe allergic reaction in the previous vaccine dose for which he was hospitalized. Last dose I received a vaccine, I got a mild itching only, but it relieved after taking antihistaminics. That is not a contraindication. But I got an abscess, then I got fever. The abscess, they had to do incision and drainage. I was admitted. That is a contraindication for a second dose. Okay, so here persons with history of severe anaphylaxis or allergic reaction and warranting hospitalization, that is an absolute contraindication. Okay, that is an absolute contraindication. Any other persons where vaccine is a relative contraindication? Yes, if a person is having a COVID-19 infection, active COVID-19 infection, please don't give the vaccine. Second, if the person has recovered from COVID-19 disease. Today, I am developing COVID-19 infection. After 14 days, I get discharged. So from the day of discharge up to 3 months, please don't get the vaccine because the antibodies might interfere. Okay, so after recovery, that is 3 months after the last day of discharge, you can take the vaccine. Similarly, patients who have received convalescent plasma or monoclonal antibody for COVID-19 treatment may also not take the vaccine for 3 months following the receiving of monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma. So don't give the vaccine for COVID-19 infection active. Don't give the vaccine for recovered person at least 3 months from the last day. Don't give vaccine for 3 months for patients who have taken monoclonal antibodies or convalescent plasma, or any other acutely admitted patients in ICU. Don't give the vaccines. If they are recovered, then you give the vaccines. Okay, so these are all the contraindication. Pregnant women and lactating mothers can directly go and get the vaccines because now it has been approved for use in them also. Chronic diseases and comorbidity, like if the patient is having diabetes, hypertension, COPD, asthma, whether they can take the vaccine? Yes, they can take the vaccine provided if all their comorbidity levels are controlled. If a person is diabetes and if his diabetes is controlled, he can take the vaccine. If a person is hypertensive, if his hypertension is controlled, he can take the vaccine. If the person is on, let us say, any renal disease, chronic kidney disease, or a stroke patient, okay, if they are well now, all their parameters are normal, they can go and get the vaccine. Immunodeficiency patients like HIV and cancer patients who are all on immunosuppressant therapy can also get the vaccine because it is not a live vaccine. These are killed vaccines. It is not a live vaccine. So they can go and take the vaccine. But the only problem is their immune response might be slightly delayed, but still they will get an immune response. Okay, something is better than nothing. So they can go and get the vaccine as well. If the person is on TB drugs, okay, let us say I am suffering from tuberculosis and I have been diagnosed as tuberculosis today. And if I want to get the COVID-19 vaccine, when can I get the vaccine? The guideline says once you get the vaccine or if you start anti-tuberculosis treatment, wait for 14 days and then take your vaccine. Okay, so that these are all the important points, practical important points you should know so that it will be useful for your practice. So first vaccine we will talk now is Covishield vaccine. Okay, now Covishield vaccine, you have one dose, 0.5 ml. It is given intramuscular deltoid. Okay, so it is a recombinant replication deficient. Recombinant replication deficient. It is a chimpanzee adenovirus vector vaccine. It is a chimpanzee adenovirus non-replicating recombinant. Replication deficient means non-replicating. So it is basically a adenovector. It is a chimpanzee adenovector which is taken. The replication property of the virus is removed. Okay, and that spike protein from the virus is taken. It is genetically engineered into this viral vector. It is grown in HEK293 cell, that is human embryonic kidney 293 cell culture. After repeated cell cultures, the virus gets inactivated. Then this viral vector is then injected into our body. Antibodies are produced against the virus as well as against the spike glycoprotein of the COVID-19 virus, which is inside the adenoviral vector, and that is how you get the immune response. Primary immune response you get after the first shot. After the second shot, your immune response build up, that is your secondary immune response. Okay, so you give two doses, 0.5 ml, 12 weeks apart. Okay, previously it was 8 weeks. Now the guidelines have changed to 12 weeks. Now why it is changed to 12 weeks? Because in literature and scientific evidence from abroad, we came to know that when you delay the second dose of Covishield, and if you delay the dose and put it around 10 or 12 weeks, your immune response actually jumps from 80% to 92%. Okay, so that is the most important thing you should remember in delaying the second dose. So after 12 weeks, you can put the second dose after the first dose. What is the most common adverse effect following Covishield? It is headache. Headache is the most common side effect. The most common side effect is headache, followed by body pain, fever, myalgia. Because the body is mounting an immune response, you are bound to develop fever, body pain and myalgia. Sometimes the patient can develop a mild COVID-19 infection as well. But the good point is, after vaccination, he will not develop a severe infection. He will not die from COVID-19 disease. So mortality will be prevented from COVID-19 infections. Then we have Covaxin. It is also an inactivated vaccine. The strain was isolated by National Institute of Virology, and that was given to Bharat Biotech, and they have manufactured this vaccine. The dosage for Covaxin, again 0.5 ml intramuscular deltoid. Okay, 0.5 ml intramuscular deltoid given at a span of 4 weeks apart. Okay, unlike Covishield, Covaxin is given within 4 weeks. So Covaxin contains, what are all the ingredients you should know? Sometimes they can ask in the exam. Covaxin contains 6 microgram of whole virion inactivated SARS-CoV-2. So it is an inactivated vaccine. So it is a killed vaccine. Okay, the strain of the virus is NIV 2020-770. NIV 2020-770 is a strain used in Covaxin. You also have other ingredients. What are all the other ingredients? You have a toll-like receptor 7/8 agonist called imidazoquinolinone. So you have a TLR agonist. Okay, and you also have adjuvants like aluminum hydroxide. Okay, so all these are all there, and it is an inactivated virus. It is given 0.5 ml intramuscular deltoid 4 weeks apart, whereas Covishield 0.5 ml intramuscular deltoid 12 weeks apart. So both are intramuscular vaccines. Okay, same side effects as of Covishield: headache, pain at the injection site, body pain, fever, malaise, everything. The same side effects have been reported. Apart from that, remember Covishield in countries like UK, they have also reported thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome. They also reported TTS syndrome, thrombosis with thrombocytopenia. So that is also seen sometimes in Covishield. Thrombosis with thrombocytopenia, that is a severe side effect. Okay. Then you have all the other vaccines from the country, from US, that is Pfizer. It is an mRNA vaccine. Okay, it is an mRNA vaccine, and for all the vaccines, the storage temperature is 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, remember, except for Pfizer, which is in minus 60 to minus 70 degrees Celsius. That is why Pfizer storage issues are happening in our country, and it is impossible to store this kind of a vaccine in the PHC level, because our cold chain system supports the temperature of 2 to 8 in ILR and minus 15 to minus 25 in deep freezer. The dosage of Pfizer mRNA is 0.3 ml intramuscular 21 days apart. 0.3 ml intramuscular 21 days apart. Okay. Then you have the Moderna vaccine. Moderna vaccine is also an mRNA vaccine. So if you take the Moderna, you have M, you have RNA in Moderna. So it is an mRNA vaccine, remember like that. Again, it is given 0.5 ml intramuscular within 4 weeks. 0.5 ml intramuscular. It can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, it can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Then you have Sputnik V. Sputnik V is an adenoviral vector vaccine. Sputnik V is an adenoviral vector vaccine. The beauty, it is also adenoviral vector. Covishield is also an adenoviral vector. So what is the difference here in Sputnik V? Two types of adenoviral vector are used. Two types of vectors are used. So one vector is given and dose 1, and after 21 days the second vector is given. So they claim the efficacy of 95%. So 95% is the efficacy of Sputnik V. Okay, so remember that. Sinovac is a Chinese vaccine. Okay, Sinovac is a Chinese vaccine. It is given, it is a fully liquid vaccine. 2 doses given at 14-day interval at the deltoid muscle. Again, storage temperature is 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, so these are all the vaccines we have. Common vaccines are Covishield, Covaxin in India, Pfizer and Moderna in US. Covishield is we already know, it is an adenovirus non-replicating recombinant vaccine. Covaxin is a killed vaccine. Pfizer is an mRNA vaccine. Moderna is also an mRNA vaccine. Okay, from one vial we can give 10 doses in Covishield. From one vial we can give 20 doses in Covaxin. Pfizer 5 doses, Moderna 10 doses. Remember, only Covishield and Covaxin. Pfizer and Moderna I have kept for reference purposes. Okay, if you see the storage condition, 2 to 8 for Covishield, Covaxin, minus 20 for Moderna, because Moderna can also be stored at 2 to 8. But in deep freezer we have minus 15 to minus 25, hence it can be supported in our country. But see Pfizer, the storage is minus 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, so everything is given intramuscular. 0.5 ml, except Pfizer, it is given 0.3 ml. 2 doses 12 weeks apart is Covishield. 2 doses 28 days apart is both Moderna and Covaxin. Whereas if you take Pfizer, it is 21 days apart, like Sputnik 5 or Sputnik V. Okay, so the most common side effect was headache and local tenderness. Okay, headache was the most common side effect. The efficacy of Covishield is 71%, efficacy of Covaxin is 81%, efficacy of Pfizer, so this is Pfizer, 95%, Moderna is 94%. So the maximum efficacy is claimed by Pfizer, which is 95%. Now, what are the variants of coronavirus which has been found in the world and in the country? I am just telling you only the variants. Okay. Okay, so the first variant which was isolated was B1.1.7. It was isolated from United Kingdom. Okay, it was isolated from United Kingdom on December 18. It is called as alpha variant. It is called as the alpha variant. The second variant which was isolated was B1.3.5.1. So 1.351, that was the second variant. It was isolated from South Africa. It is called as the beta variant. So beta B1.1.7 is alpha, United Kingdom. 1.351 was beta, isolated from Brazil. P1 was a gamma variant. It was isolated from Brazil. Beta was isolated from South Africa, whereas gamma is a P1 variant isolated from travelers traveling from Brazil to Japan. So first it was actually isolated in Japan from Brazilian travelers and then traced back to Brazil. This is the most important one which we are of concern. Beta B1.617. That was the first variant which was isolated in India. That was the Delta variant. But B1.617.2, that is the Delta Plus variant, is the one which is now recently circulating, and it has been notified by WHO as variant of concern. Now, why we are so much worried about variant of concern is because, see these three important points. That is more than enough for your knowledge. There is increased in transmissibility. So there is increased transmission because of these variants. They spread fast. Second thing, because they spread fast, their virulence is high. Their virulence is high. The CFR is also high. The clinical disease presentation also changes. Third thing, there is decrease in the effectiveness. There is decrease in the effectiveness in vaccines and therapeutics. So the vaccines might not work. Still, we don't have the data to suggest whether these vaccines are effective against Delta Plus variant. Okay, Covaxin is effective, but still other studies are still going on to still prove how much is the effectiveness of these vaccines against these variants. So these variants have increased transmissibility. They spread very faster. They have increased virulence, so you can see more death, more fatality. And third, their effectiveness is decreased by vaccines and therapeutics. They don't work well. Okay, they also do something called as immune escape phenomenon. Immune escape phenomenon. They escape the antibody dependent killing by our immune system. Okay, so remember the Delta 1.617, B 1.617, B 1.617.2 is the Delta Plus. Okay, so please remember this variant. Whatever preventive measures we have, always use the mask, wash your hands with soap, follow the steps of hand washing by WHO. Okay, then 6 meters distance, social distancing, prompt testing and self-isolation, which are all called as the COVID appropriate behaviors. Okay, please follow the COVID appropriate behaviors and get yourself vaccinated. That is the only way we are going to be safe from COVID-19 disease. So this completes our lecture series on COVID-19 disease. Okay, so first I spoke about where it started. I spoke about the animals which are implicated in transmission of COVID-19 infection. Then I spoke about the epidemiology of transmission. Then I spoke about how it is transmitted from person to person, respiratory droplet and droplet nuclei. I spoke about what are the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 infection. Then I spoke about the severity, mild, moderate and severe. Then I spoke about how to prevent it. The vaccines like Covishield, Covaxin, Sputnik, Pfizer and Moderna. Then I also spoke about the variants like alpha, beta, gamma and delta. 1.117 is alpha, 1.351 is beta, P1 is gamma, 1.617 is delta and 1.617.2 is your delta plus variant. Okay, and that is a variant of concern. I told you about the variant of concern, and yes, that finishes our lecture series on COVID-19. Thank you.